phenomenal, legendary, and blessed night, YouTube and podcast. Whether you're listening through Anchor, Google Cast, or whatever platform that you choose to listen to your podcast. I wanted to make sure that I mentioned podcast because I do upload the audio, excuse me, onto Anchor, and it gets distributed to Apple Podcasts and other podcast platforms. So I don't want to forget about my podcast people. And I just appreciate every person that tunes in, whether via YouTube or podcast. I am humbled and grateful. So I actually had a plan to be kind of dolled up and everything for this podcast, for this recording, but it didn't go as planned. And it's good that it didn't go as planned because it leads to my point of my subject matter, which is talking about keeping yourself accountable. How do you do it? And over the years, I probably would say that I probably wasn't the best at keeping myself accountable, and I would rely on other people. And the truth of the matter is that even though we should have people to keep us accountable, mentors or friends or family and things like that, the truth of the matter is that we got to be on top of our own stuff. Everybody is doing something to hopefully improve themselves, dealing with life on a whole. We're still dealing with either quarantine fully or partial quarantine because COVID is still very much here. We are dealing with starting YouTubes and building businesses and dealing with families, children, husbands, wives, parents, grandparents. There's a whole lot of stuff that we're dealing with. And it's cool to have accountability partners, which in most self-help or any kind of growing type of program, normally they want you to get an accountability partner. But what if your accountability partners that you choose either aren't accountable for themselves, or they have so much on their plate, they're keeping themselves accountable, and so keeping you accountable has become more of a task. I have come to understand that when you decide to do something, you have to be the one to constantly be on top of yourself to do it. So although things did not go as planned today, I still had to do this recording because I decided that I was going to make sure that I stay consistent with the God idea that I was given. And although here and there from the beginning of me starting it, I have been on and off, I have a goal to actually be consistent, more so for the next 30 days. But even with that, just being consistent with bringing you guys content, and not for the sake of getting subscribers or anything. I mean, sure, absolutely, like, subscribe, share, as long as the content is valuable to you, or if you feel it would be valuable to someone else. But my whole initiative with starting this was not even my idea, it was God's idea. And who am I to decide that because things didn't go as planned that I'm not going to do this? That's not my decision. And so I felt like I needed to talk about this. Now, the how to keep yourself accountable came from my friend, and I thought it was a great topic that she gave me. I felt like, shout out to Sherry, by the way. But I felt like it was a great topic that she gave me because we were having a conversation, and I said, yeah, we can do that so that I would keep myself accountable. Now, with that being said, what was supposed to happen didn't happen. Plans changed, things happen, and I could have felt prey to just, as a matter of fact, I did tell her today that, you know what, it's okay. As long as I get out the information this week, it's fine. But I know how that goes too. Early voting is this week, so I have no idea on what day exactly I'm going out to do voting, but I'm going before Election Day, and anything is viable happening. I work a day job, so anything can happen from 8 to 4 or any point of my day. Lives happen. I live with people. Anything can happen. Anything can throw me off. Anything can throw you off. So who keeps you accountable? And you just have to decide. You have to make the decision every day, every moment, and decide, I'm doing this, and decide that you're going to keep yourself accountable. I have a few friends that I had been checking in with them and keeping them accountable to the things that they said that they wanted to do. I'm not checking on them every day. I'm not even probably checking on them every month. But I think that I have done my part to a degree with checking in on them. But even with just how my day goes, and I'm not always like really, really busy, it's just how my day tends to go. And I'm thinking to myself, if I have this in my schedule, or I don't always create the time or space to check up on them and make sure that they're doing what they're doing, how is it that I expect anybody else to do it for me when life is happening for everyone? So this is a part where you, to me, and this is my thing, that you have to talk to God. Like, yeah, you have to decide. And yeah, you have to turn on the camera or get up early in the morning, make that run, prep your meals, or whatever that is, whatever that thing is for you that you need to get done on a consistent basis, whatever that thing is that you need to keep yourself accountable for, whether it's a diet, whether it's studies, whether it's your business, it doesn't matter what it is. But you have to be responsible for you. And so I have to be responsible for me. And so I can't rely on anybody else to keep me accountable. It's a great idea. Nothing wrong with it. And you can have accountability partners. Just understand that they may not always be able to keep you accountable at all points of the day, at all points of the time of month, year, it doesn't matter. Whenever they're contacting you, like, it's when either they remember or they've created a schedule for themselves and you're scheduled into their time. When do you schedule you into your time? This is seriously what I had to realize that I had to do for myself. So there's a couple of things that I need to keep myself accountable for as we're getting close to the end of 2020. And definitely this YouTube channel, the podcast, that's a number one thing after my obedience to God. And when I say my obedience to God, like my daily prayers and readings and things like that. And then there's my health. Like, I know you're probably like, oh, well, your health should be first. It actually is. But I'm doing what I can with my health. Matter of fact, I went out today, this morning, and I worked out. I went to the track. I ran up a couple of flights of stairs. I even did some jump rope. And my goal is to keep doing that. But you have to know what works best for you. So as much as I like to work out with friends and family, and I do that, I know that I'm a morning person. So I like to get up in the morning, say my prayers, talk to God, read my devotionals, whatever that is, and then literally just jump into my clothes, brush my teeth, and head out and go do a workout. The morning is the most productive time for me. Most people are sleeping at the time that I get up. I choose to get up at 4 o'clock, and I'm not successful at that every day. As a matter of fact, last week it was a struggle. But that's my goal. My alarm is set all the time. Whether I actually get up for it or not is up to me. But going forward, like, this is what I'm doing. It's funny, as I'm talking about, I have alarms set. One of my alarms went off to tell me to get ready for bed. But anyway, yeah, I literally have alarms set through my day. Prayer, waking up, showering, get ready for bed, because I'm working on getting my mind to remember that these alarms are creating a structure for my everyday life. Now, we all know that life happens, so I'm not always going to be able to stick to it, but I do my best to do so. So, I would definitely suggest that set alarms for yourself. You have to know who you are. I know that I can be a procrastinator. I know that I love time with my friends and family. So sometimes when things are going on, I want to be a part of. And sometimes I have to just say, no, I cannot. That's a part of me keeping myself accountable. So that's definitely what I wanted to pretty much talk about, was that you have to work to keep yourself accountable. It does not come easy. I think any successful person will tell you that creating disciplines for yourself does not come easy, because it's what's easy to do is also easy not to do. And, in the Bible, it talks a lot about, people keeping you accountable. Iron sharpens iron. But sometimes you have to be your own accountability partner. Not even sometimes, all the time. So even when your friends or your family or whoever you've confided into your goals and dreams to help you keep accountable, you have to make sure you keep yourself accountable. Set alarms, schedule times, that you need to set out to pray, set out times that you need to work out. And it's okay that sometimes how your day goes, you might be off by an hour. That's okay. But keep working towards creating that discipline for yourself so that you keep yourself accountable. So that's actually the second thing. The first thing is deciding. You have to decide that you're going to do a thing. You must decide. It has to be your decision. I mean, clearly, if it's God's idea and God is like appointing you to do something, great. That's awesome. But now you have to decide. I had to decide to do this YouTube channel. It was a God idea. It doesn't mean that I had to follow it. But because I am being obedient to God, I had to make the decision that I was going to do this and be committed to it. So definitely decide, and then definitely schedule out time, and then commit to your commitments. Right now, I'm committed to you guys. I'm committed to putting out content. So I have a hat on my head because my hair is not done. I have no makeup on, and I told you guys from the beginning of this YouTube, I'm not always going to do it pretty. I'm just going to do it. I've been to enough events about building and growing and doing things that you are appointed to do, and understanding that it's not always going to be pretty. Sometimes you just got to do it ugly. And I take that from a young man that was at an event that I went to, I believe last year. But yeah, so this is what you have to do. So you have to decide, you have to schedule out time, you have to stay committed to your commitment. If nobody else is going to keep you accountable, who else will but you? I mean, you'll also have God, because God has a way of like nudging you when you're not doing a thing. But there's also free will, and he's never going to pressure you to do a thing. He might kind of knock on that door or kind of give you that nudge, but you still have to ultimately decide. And so I wanted to make sure that I stayed committed to you guys. It was important to me that despite how this day went, despite that I didn't have notes down, that I came on here and continued to do this thing. And I'm hoping that whoever is watching is encouraged. It's important to believe in yourself, to believe in the gifts, the talents, the abilities, the gifting that God has given you, and just know that if you keep forging ahead, things will work out. It may not work out in the way that you would like it to work out, but it will definitely work out. God has an absolute plan for your life, but you do have to decide to be obedient and follow Him. So, again, decide, schedule out time, be committed to your commitment, and what was the other thing I said? That's crazy. I just forgot. And by the way, I don't really edit my videos too much. I just let it flow because somebody out there feels like they have to do everything perfect and you don't. So I like to, you know, keep my mistakes in and just let it roll. But definitely decide. Definitely, schedule out time. Stay committed to your commitment, and just do the thing. Just do. Continue to do. You have to be your own accountability partner. It's up to you. It's not up to anybody else. It's not up to anybody else but you and God. What God has told you to do, gifted you to do, you do it. And there's no perfect way to do it. There's nothing that you have to do other than do a thing. Really, like seriously, just do what you're called to do. Do what you're gifted to do. And who knows, along the way, even if you haven't quite figured it all out, each step is going to lead you to the next thing. I truly believe that there's no one purpose. I think there's a purpose that leads to a purpose that leads to a purpose, because as long as you continue to have breath and life, there's always something for you to do. And if you just found your purpose, that one thing, then that would mean that you completed this life. And I don't think that that's true. I think that you might have more than one purpose, but you have to reach one purpose to get to the next purpose, to get to the next purpose, to get to the next purpose, all that God has planned out for you. So for instance, maybe your first purpose was to go to school, or maybe your first purpose was to just start working. And then now your next purpose is leading you to the career or the business. And then now after you've started the business, now your purpose is with family. So maybe you got married and you have kids. And then you and your husband maybe have a purpose together. And so or your wife, I'm sorry, if you're a man, obviously. And now you guys have a purpose together. So it's like purpose leading to purpose, leading to purpose, leading to purpose. So those that might struggle with what their calling is or what your purpose for, don't fret. Just get started. Just do that thing that has been really gnawing at your spirit, as long as it's in alignment with God's will for your life, and having that conversation with Him and saying, like, God, this gnawing in my spirit is telling me that I need to do this. Show me what signs following so that I know which way to go. But I'm sorry, that was kind of off tangent, but somebody obviously needed to hear that. So again, just keeping yourself accountable is just as important as having accountability partners. Be your own accountability partner. Decide, make out a schedule, commit to your commitment, and do this thing. Create the disciplines that you need to, and understand you're gonna fall. You're going to fall. Some fall harder than others, but you pick yourself back up and you grab God's hand. There may be tears. There may be times that you just don't feel to do it. I've been there. I know what it is. Continue. Pick it back up. Pick up the mic. Pick up the camera. Pick up the phone. Pick up the pen and paper. Pick up the laptop. pick up the makeup, whatever it is that has this unction in your heart, pick it up and just start. Don't worry about what any else has to say about it. And don't worry about anything else. Keep your focus on God and keep pushing forward. Love, life, and light to you all in Christ. Toodles.